Leclerc starts in pole position, and the Tifosi will be desperate for a repeat of 2019, when once again he started on pole and took the win. Sam Bird, Formula E driver for the Jaguar team, they want, will they get?
Indeed, they want, but will they get? I would dearly love to see a Ferrari win today, Jenny. I think that it mixes things up. I think we know which way the championship is going. For Ferrari, it would be such an important race win to give their home fans something to cheer about in a season that promised so much at the beginning, yet will not deliver the end result, in my opinion. I think today could be a big day for them.
Just over 2 minutes to go until the start of this race. I'll very quickly run through the grid. It is Leclerc starting in pole position alongside George Russell and Mercedes. Then it's Norris, Ricciardo, Gasly, Alonso. Then it's Verstappen starting in 7th place alongside his fellow countryman Nick de Vries, Zhou and Latifi, Vettel, Stroll, Perez, Ocon, Bottas, Magnussen, Schumacher, Sainz, Hamilton and Tsunoda making up the back row. And Jack, a lot of variations with the grid from what happened in qualifying yesterday. 9 of the drivers had penalties.
Yeah, it really was a remarkable weekend of penalties, as it was interesting tyre-wise. Leclerc and Russell on the front row are going to be on the soft tyre. Verstappen and de Vries in 7th and 8th are going to be on the soft tyre. And Ocon in 14th is going to be on the soft tyre. I think maybe the most surprising one there is Leclerc starting on the soft tyre.
I don't think so, Jack. I absolutely think the opposite. I think it was his only chance. I think that it's quite a difficult circuit, actually. The grip is quite low on the start line. You want to get a good start. You need a good start. He needs to be leading on the exit of the first chicane. That's what he needs. He needs clear air to pump in some super fast laps while everybody else is squabbling behind. Let's not forget, Verstappen is going to need to get past Alonso, Gasly, Ricciardo, Norris and Russell in order to try and help charge him down. So Leclerc...
Lando, do a very aggressive pull away. That's your best bet.
Out to begin, and it is Charles Leclerc who will start on pole position for Ferrari. George Russell will be alongside him on the front row in the Mercedes. They're both starting on the soft tyre. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo are 3rd and 4th on the grid for McLaren on the medium tyre. Gasly is 5th for AlphaTauri and Fernando Alonso is 6th. They too are on the medium tyre. After a 5-place grid drop, Max Verstappen lines up 7th on the grid for the Red Bull team on the soft tyres, ahead of debutant Nick de Vries in the Williams, who is also on the soft tyre. Zhou is 9th, Latifi is 10th, Vettel, Stroll and Perez the top 13. Perez also had a grid penalty. They're all on the mediums. Esteban Ocon in 14th is out of position, so he's on the soft tyre. Everybody else starts on the mediums. 15th for Bottas, 16th for Magnussen, 17th
do a
for
very
Schumacher,
aggressive pull away. That's
Hamilton
your best
and Tsunoda, the back 3 on the grid, all with engine penalties as well. They come through the Rettifilio chicane, through the right and the left. Well, the last cars are anyway. Carlos Sainz right at the back there, whereas Leclerc and Russell are already actually at the Variante Ascari, so very spread out in these early stages of this formation lap. Alongside me is Sam Bird and Jenny Gow.
I wonder what Nick de Vries is feeling, the 25-year-old starting his first ever Formula One race after substituting for Alex Albon in the Williams. Has appendicitis and can't take part in this, and he starts next to Max Verstappen.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see that charge into the first corner. We've had unusual winners the last 2 seasons here. Ricciardo last year for McLaren, Gasly the year before for... Were they Toro Rosso then? Or were they AlphaTauri? I can't remember.
AlphaTauri.
They were AlphaTauri by then, were they? Yeah. And we'll see whether we get another surprise one this weekend. Leclerc, though, would not be a surprise, starting on pole position. How quickly can Verstappen climb up through the field? That is going to be the big question as the cars come down now in towards the Parabolica. Leclerc already lining up in pole position in the Ferrari.
530 metres down to the apex of turn 1. 20 cars will be charging down there. We're expecting it just to be a one-stop strategy. Daniel Ricciardo won last year, going from a medium to hard on lap 22.
It was a very different race, though, last time, Jenny. I think that this will be a more traditional Formula One race. The fastest guy will end up winning this one, in my opinion. We saw pictures then overhead of all of the Tifosi. A sea of red lines this wonderful track, the track that's been most used of any Formula One track in history.
Quite a narrow run down towards the first corner as well, relatively speaking, compared to some of the other circuits. Formula One visits. Leclerc has now lined up on pole position. 53 laps of racing about to get underway. The 16th round of the Formula One World Championship here at the Italian Grand Prix. Then a 3-week break before Singapore. Who will take the momentum into that mini break? Will it be Leclerc on pole? Will it be Russell in second? The McLarens are there in third and fourth. Max Verstappen starts in 7th on the grid. Lewis Hamilton lines up in 19th position, and now here come the lights. Green flag waved at the back. Leclerc on pole, Russell alongside him. Then it's the McLarens. The Italian Grand Prix gets underway. Very, very slow start from Norris. He's been passed almost immediately, but holding the lead is Charles Leclerc on the run down towards the first corner. There's attacks coming in from behind as Gasly tries to get Ricciardo. Russell goes to the outside of Leclerc, tries to go all the way through, and he can't manage it. To take to the runoff area, slots back into second place. Ricciardo is third, fourth is Gasly, fifth is Max Verstappen, so he's gained a couple of places already, and he might even get Gasly by the time they get down into the Della Roggia chicane, the second chicane on the circuit. Leclerc leads, Russell second, Ricciardo third. Gasly manages to cover off Verstappen. Everybody else under the brakes into Della Roggia, and are they safely through? Yes, just about. Norris is trying to fight with Fernando Alonso after his poor start. Norris is ahead of Alonso then, and then it is Nick de Vries, who's still managed to keep relative position. He's still in 8th place at the start, so he's managed to hold that spot, but Leclerc got well. Russell fancied it. Here comes Verstappen going for 4th place now on Pierre Gasly into the Ascari chicane, and he makes it. Verstappen goes from 7th to 4th by the time we're halfway around the opening lap. But Russell really fancied a look at the start, didn't he?
He did. I think that was his one chance of getting in the lead in this Grand Prix. We know that the Mercedes is struggling with straight line speed, Jack, as Verstappen is already pressurizing Daniel Ricciardo for 3rd place. I don't think that this is going to take too long at all.
Out of the Parabolica, Verstappen pulls to the inside, and he's now up into 3rd position. Not quite by the time they finish the first lap, but effectively that is the case as he goes to the inside into the Rettifilo, and Verstappen is up into 3rd position. Leclerc leads, Russell 2nd, Verstappen 3rd, 4th is Ricciardo, 5th is Gasly. Norris, Alonso, De Vries, the rest of the top 10. The 2 Aston Martins having a big old fight, and Stroll has managed to get ahead of Vettel. There's contact between Perez and Sainz as they come into Curva Grande. Between Sainz gets ahead as they come into Curva Grande. Perez, so Perez has dropped a long way back down to 16th place. He started 13th, dropped a long way back down to 16th place. He gained any positions. Verstappen and Magnussen have both gained 4 spots. Sonoda has gained 3, but it is Leclerc still leading the way with Russell 2nd, but it is Verstappen in 3rd. I'm not sure where Perez's opening lap pace has gone. Latifi's lost 4 places off the start. Perez lost 3. It was a
brake balance +1. Brake balance +1.
really bad start for Lando Norris. He almost sort of maybe anti-stall or something.
I think the anti-stall has kicked in. You've then got to re-engage one of the clutch paddles and then go again. By that point, you're out of sync, and it's a very scrappy start from Lando. Good start from Daniel. Yeah, and obviously, as we can see, amazing stuff from Max Verstappen. The other one that I think has done a really super job, considering his experience, is Nick de Vries. Settled down in 8th place. Looks to have to go with Fernando Alonso on those soft tyres.
Just looking at Lewis Hamilton's start as well from the back, it looks like he got a really clean start. He was doing well, managed to navigate his way around a whole host of people, but then ran out of track and ended up going through the runoff for turn 1, so actually lost out a lot.
Russell complaining about the first corner. Not much in it for me.
No,
Russell complaining about the first corner.
Of course he was going to push,
leave you with no room.
Of course he was going to push. Yeah, Lando Norris. It looks like it's an anti-stall. Yeah, Lando Norris. It looks like it's an anti-stall.
Leclerc leading the way, so 1.5 seconds ahead of George Russell.
Leading the way. 1.5 seconds ahead of George
Verstappen is pretty close to the back of Russell at the moment in their fight over second position. Mercedes have tended to be stronger in the race than they have been in qualifying so far this year. So we'll see whether he's able to hold off the charge of Verstappen for any notable period of time. There's a bit of contact in the midfield. Magnussen got a hit from behind. One of the Alfa Romeos was involved. I think that was Bottas, and Bottas has now dropped to the back. And Hamilton has had to take a bit of evasive action because of some of the damage coming off Bottas. Looks like his front right end plate on the front wing is gone. But it is Charles Leclerc leading the Grand Prix. It is Verstappen chasing down George Russell for second position as they swing into the parabolic. DRS is now position as they swing into the parabolic. DRS is now Verstappen will be almost in DRS range. He is in DRS range. Rear wing pops open for Verstappen as he comes over the start-finish straight. Ricciardo's under pressure from Pierre Gasly. Ricciardo's under pressure from Pierre Gasly. And that AlphaTauri has been quick in a straight line over the races so far this season. And is Gasly close enough for a look? No, he is not. To make it through. Big lock-up from De Vries as he comes steaming into the Renault chicane. Behind Alonso at the moment and relatively keeping pace. That last lap he was in fact a 10th quicker than Fernando Alonso. So as Sam said, doing a solid job. Schumacher has just got ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton down in just got 19th place, fighting with Mick Schumacher, unable to clear him at the moment. Sergio Perez is making a move on Kevin Magnussen coming into De La Roggia, and Perez gets through up into 14th position. Hamilton gets back ahead of Schumacher for 18th place, but it is Verstappen right behind place. So now in the fight for second position.
I think we're going to see a move into turn 1, Jack. I think he's going to line him up here. If he gets a good exit out of Ascari, which it looks like Max Verstappen has achieved, he's going to be right on the back of George Russell entering Parabolica. Then the aim is to brake well, turn in, back on the power in one time, use DRS and slingshot his way into second place before at the beginning of lap 5.
Out across the line they come. Charles Leclerc sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on a 25.8. Verstappen on George Russell. He's 4 tenths of a second behind. He's on George Russell. He's 4 tenths of a second behind. He's a bit of a way away as they come down to the Renault. He's a bit of a way away, but get on the brakes. And now Verstappen is up into second place. 2 seconds back. Now Verstappen is up into second place. 2 seconds back. Now the race for the win begins. Now the race for the win. Leclerc leading Verstappen second, Russell third. Leclerc leading Verstappen second, Russell third.
He's making this look so easy. The Red Bull just had such an advantage over the Mercedes. It was like slicing through butter with advantage over the Mercedes. It was like slicing through butter with a...
Verstappen 2.2 seconds further back. We'll see what sort of pace Verstappen 2.2 seconds Verstappen has now in clear air, because he was a 10th quicker than Russell on that last lap. But clear air, because he was a 10th quicker than Russell on that last lap. But he had DRS for a couple of parts of it. But equally, he was in the dirty air of George Russell for parts of it also. So we'll see what happens on this lap. 3 tenths quicker than Leclerc on this lap so far. 3 tenths quicker than Leclerc on this lap so far into second spot. He's now Q is really starting to form behind Daniel Ricciardo. Q is really starting to form behind Daniel Ricciardo, and this is going to be an interesting one slower of their 2 drivers at the head of this queue at the moment, because of their 2 drivers at the head of this queue at the moment, because of a really big gap for start, and there is now a really big gap Ricciardo in fourth. It's 5 seconds in fact to Ricciardo in fourth. It's 5 seconds on the Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel. Making a move. Sainz goes through Aston Martin into the Parabolica, and Sainz goes through into the Parabolica now. His next target will be Lance Stroll. 11th place now. His next target will be Lance Stroll. Position at the moment. Hamilton's not making much progress at all. He's right behind position at the moment. Yuki Tsunoda though, as they come into the Yuki Tsunoda though, as they come into the straight. Is he going to be close enough here? There goes finish straight. Is he going to be close enough here? There goes also on the next Aston Martin. Sergio Perez. Also Perez was a little bit too far back, and not a huge amount. Perez was a little bit too far back, from Perez. He's now at the outside coming through. Honestly, from Perez, he's now try and get the Alpine driver, and that will give him the inside line. The Alpine driver, and that should give him the inside line for Perez, and he gets up into the 13th position. Perez, and he gets up into Hamilton 13th position. managed to get past in the Red Bull. Hamilton 53, gap remaining at the front to 2.2 seconds. Gap remaining at the front to 2.2 seconds.
Leclerc, just having a look at who started on what tyres. Remind you, Leclerc, Verstappen and Russell. And then you've got a gaggle of medium runners, Ricardo, Gasly, Norris and Alonso of medium runners. De Vries starting his first ever F1 race on a soft tyre. Starting his first ever F1 race on a soft tyre. Everybody else on the mediums until P14 with a soft tyres. Will they be able to make the mediums go a bit longer? They're aiming for the soft tyre window to open around lap 18.
I tell you who's not dropping back, George Russell. Through the final corner, and he might even still be within DRS range of Max Verstappen. It'll be tight, but he's managed to keep with Verstappen.
They slower. The gap has got to a second, tenth or so.
He hasn't slower. The gap has got to a second, but
he has a slower car here because of the toe effect. No, a slower car here because of the toe effect, but then hang on in so hard for a few laps, then you're out of the toe, so hard, and then you do take a mistake, then you're out of the toe. If you're in the toe, you do take a hang on to a quicker car. If you're in the toe, you can hang on to a quicker car.
Behind the battle for fourth, which is Ricardo, Gasly and Norris. Then Alonso fourth, which is Ricardo, Gasly and Norris. Then Alonso 10, De Vries, Stroll and Vettel are 11th and 12th. 13th is Perez, 14th is Ocon, 11th and 12th. 13th is Perez, just got ahead of Nicholas Latifi and up to 16th. Snowden's just ahead of Nicholas Latifi and up to 16th place. 18th is Hamilton, who's still not making now Latifi. 18th is Hamilton, who's still then it is Mick Schumacher and Valtteri Bottas in the bottom two positions. Valtteri Bottas in the bottom two positions. So a little look to the inside coming into the first Lesmo for Hamilton. The problem is when he's stuck up behind Tsunoda at straight line speed a few moments ago, that AlphaTauri has such good straight line speed that Ricardo is managing to the moment keep ahead. Ricardo is managing to fight over fourth place. Verstappen sets the setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on this lap, or he's still only 2 seconds back from the Grand Prix on this lap. He's not exactly only 2 seconds back from Leclerc. He's not exactly closing in. Look like they're getting ready in the pit lane for Red Bull, so maybe they're getting ready in the pit lane for Red Bull, so maybe pretty early on lap 8 to some 53, but that'll be pretty early. The gap comes down to 53. Across the line, the gap comes down to just under 2 seconds. Fourth position, and also joining the fight is Carlos Sainz. He's at the back trying to get ahead of Joe. Joining the fight is Carlos Sainz. He's at the back trying to get ahead of Joe. Should be able to come down into the inside. He should be able to manage to get to the inside. He's taken the place away. So Sainz is on a good and comeback drive here. He's up in the 9th place. Perez does pit and goes out on the pack.
Sainz to go. Ricciardo is 8.5 seconds behind his record as of the pack. Sainz
he's smoking from the front right, Jack. I think there's something wrong with that front right brake duct.
Yeah, the brake may be overheating, and then the smoke coming out of it. Once he gets some cool air through it, maybe that will put the fire out. He gets onto the brakes into the chicane. It's still pretty smoky, and there's flames now. There's flames. This could be day done for Perez.
I have something.
Well, he's up into 2nd place on lap 5. It's now lap 8 of the race, and he hasn't really made much more progress since the race. He hasn't really made much more progress since then. He's chipping away. George Russell is still running in 3rd and relatively keeping pace with them. Then it's a battle
for hard. So green's got 9 position 9. Green 9 position
between Ricardo, Gasly and Norris. The bad news for Red Bull is that in the pit lane, Sergio Perez has come in for a very early stop to go onto the hard tyres, and his front right brake is smoking an awful lot, and there are licks of flame coming from it. He's still lapping at the moment, but whether he gets to the end of the lap or the Grand Prix, we will wait and see. Hamilton has not made much progress. Leclerc leads Verstappen 16th place from the back of the grid. Leclerc leads Verstappen 2nd. Sainz has now got De Vries and got up into 8th position, his Perez radio, and got up into 8th position, his Perez radio. So that's Perez being told to move the brake balance. That's Perez being told to move the brake balance.
Absolutely, try to do anything you can to less pressure on anything you can to less pressure on the front brake track. Over to Freezing very impressed with what Nick De Vries is doing. He is hanging on in there for the fight for 4th place. I mean, there's such a queue behind Ricardo. It's Ricardo, Gasly, Norris, Alonso, Sainz, De Vries. They're all going together. The top 3 have gone, and it seems like that, at the moment, that's the fight for the podium, unless Carlos Sainz can clear these cars and quickly.
Debris is on the medium. Everyone else is going to have a real opportunity this time. Mediums. Sainz is going to have a real opportunity this time. Alonso might even have dropped out of the DRS range. Alonso might even have dropped out of the DRS range of the McLaren in front. The Ferrari 2 tenths behind him. Alonso has just got DRS. 2 tenths behind him. Alonso has got DRS, but the position has the run to the inside, coming into the red affiliation, and the Ferrari inside coming into the red affiliation. And the Ferrari is He's having a very nice race here. Carlos Sainz spot. He's having a very nice race here. Carlos Sainz 9, which is about a second slower than the race leaders are managing, which is about a second traffic. Leclerc's lead 1.5 seconds over Max Verstappen.
You really feel
happy, but think about your tools. Sebastian's still under pressure from Ocon. Think about your tools. We're doing a good job.
To go out there and show what he can do. He met the Italian president earlier on today. Being a Ferrari driver at Monza really means something, and he's going out there, he's putting on a show, and he wants to claw back so that he and Charles Leclerc can celebrate in front of their tifosi.
Lap 10 of 53. The other Ferrari of Leclerc is leading, 1.5 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen. Then it's about back to Russell in third. Now it's 3 seconds actually back to Russell in third.
C, if Verstappen goes to go to plan B, C, are you happy with that? To go to plan B? Are you happy with that?
So what I presume that would mean is if Verstappen tries to undercut us, Verstappen we go long. Tries to undercut us, broadly speaking, we go long. That's what I would broadly speaking suggest that means.
That's the way to counterpunch whatever Verstappen is doing. At the moment, Verstappen
Verstappen goes to plan C. We would like to go to plan B. But Charles, if Verstappen goes to plan C, copy. We would like to go to plan B.
Sending it on Lando Norris into the red affilio. Gets through. Nice stuff from Carlos Sainz. He's now up into 6th position and setting his sights on Pierre Gasly in 5th.
It's a great drive so far, Joe. Ruthless with his overtaking. If he continues like this, then in a few laps' time, absolutely 4th is on the cards. Then with good strategy, maybe a bit of luck, a podium is still on the table for Carlos Sainz at what is Ferrari's home race, which would be unbelievable considering his starting position.
So, just seen a puff of smoke from the back of Sebastian Vettel on the radio that he is losing power. He's on the radio that he is losing power. He's still in 13th at the moment. No, he's dropped back to 16th. So Vettel losing power, and no, he's dropped back to 16th. So Vettel out of the running here. De Vries is very close to the back of Fernando Alonso as they come into the Ascari chicane and then out on the back straight, and Vettel is pulling over at the side of the circuit. I think he's found a marshal's point, so could be a virtual safety car for a few moments.
Now, if you come in under a virtual safety car, it's around 15... Team radio.
Stop the car, please, when it's safe. Stop the car when it's safe.
Around 15 seconds, stop the car
at
25.
Around 15 seconds,
and I think
everybody
could potentially want to dash into the pits here. We've seen Perez already come in at lap 8. So let's see how many Perez already coming at lap 8. So let's see how many people
Carlos Sainz gets to the inside of Pierre Gasly. Carlos Sainz gets to the inside of Pierre Gasly. Virtual safety car is now deployed. Virtual safety car is about halfway around the lap. So we'll see what they decide to do here. So we'll see what and how long the virtual safety car is out here. It could be a pretty short one, honestly, because is out for it could be a pretty short one, honestly, because access parked it right by the basically on the right hand side of basically on the right hand side of the marshals are pretty adept, and we'll see how long he stays out for. The virtual safety car is how long he stays out for. The virtual safety car is
He's parked it in such an astute place. He's parked it in such an astute place. The time to be able to afford himself to do that. They would have just carried on going. Afford himself to do that because they would have just carried on going. He's just trying to attach the steering wheel back on. They'll push it back. He's just trying to attach the steering wheel back on. Right now, the only person who's pitted so far is Perez. Now, the only person who's pitted so far is Perez.
Yeah, some choices to Ferrari are running out into some choices. A set of medium tyres running out into the Charles Leclerc. A set of medium tyres for Charles Leclerc.
Boxing for plan A. What do you think about boxing for plan A?
Tight, but it will be probably the best solution.
So Leclerc comes into the pits now. To put on the medium tyres into the pits now. The virtual safety car is ending, just as Verstappen stays out. Safety car is ending, and Verstappen stays. It's still in place at the moment. Medium tyres on for Charles at the moment. Medium tyres on for Charles Leclerc. Now the track goes green, so he loses he doesn't get the full benefit. Good pit stop from Ferrari, 2.2 seconds. Doesn't get the full with regards to the traffic. And where's he going to come out with regards to the traffic? Manages to get out ahead of the Ferrari of Daniel Ricciardo. So ahead of the Ferrari of Daniel Ricciardo. So Ferrari's pretty close. They might have just got some benefit. They might have just got some benefit.
It's worked out very, very nicely for him. I was worried about very, very nicely for him. I was worried a little bit sooner. It's just about ending a little bit sooner. Put him into some clean air. Worked out for him. As long as he can stay ahead some clean air. As long as he can stay ahead, make some headway. He should be able to close, make some headway, and then he should be able to close into Verstappen, and then he will
it was a risky business, wasn't it? They didn't know how. It was a risky business, wasn't it? They didn't manage to get him in, get him out just in time ahead of everybody else. Get him out just in time ahead of everybody else. Can they make that tyre stretch to the end of this race? It would be a big call, 40 laps. This race, it would be a big call, 40 laps, but it could just work for them.
Yeah, well, that's what Leclerc was referring to, I'm sure, when he said it will be tight. Was that Leclerc locking up into the... Well, Sainz is getting ahead of Daniel Ricciardo and up into 4th place. I thought I heard a tyre squeal. Chicane going down into it must have been something else other than Leclerc. Sainz is now up into something else other than Leclerc. 4th position then. Here's Verstappen's radio. 4th position then. Here's Verstappen's radio.
Leclerc on this medium tyre, long stint required. His rear left was in slightly worse shape than yours. I think his rear left was in slightly worse shape than yours.
So Verstappen being told this is a long way. So Verstappen being told on that tyre. This is a long way for Leclerc to go on that tyre. Meanwhile, Ricciardo is keen to get through. One's got past to the outside. Is keen to get through. Gasly to the outside. Gasly into the chicane on the brakes from Gasly. Gasly way too late on the brakes from Gasly. I think that's come back to Daniel Ross. I would have thought because he had not made the move by any stretch of the imagination. Made the move by any stretch of the imagination. Gasly does indeed give the place back to Daniel Ricciardo as they come down into Della Roggia. Ricciardo as they come down into Della Roggia. So Ricciardo back in the pit. Gasly 6th, Alonso 7th, Norris 8th. 9th, Joe 10th, Stroll, Ocon and Hamilton, the rest of the top 12. But Gasly was nowhere near. I thought he was late on the brakes.
Not only was he too late on the brakes, Jack, he's also not only was he too late on the brakes, Jack, he's also lost the front tyres now. Slightly more every lap, you tend to do that slightly more every lap. Every lap you make it worse. We'll see over the next few laps if we can. We'll get to see over the next few laps if we can. Having a flat spot early on in the stint is no good. Having a flat spot early on in the stint is no good.
Just having a chat with Pirelli, they reckon a hard candidate at the Pirelli. They reckon a hard candidate that they collected at the Friday. They say there's the data that they collected on Friday. They say there's medium to make it to the end. That's what the medium to make it to the end. That's what Friday information doesn't count for much on a Sunday. Friday information doesn't count for much on a Sunday. We've seen it before.
Certainly have. So Verstappen leads. Leclerc is in 2nd. Sorry, Russell is in 2nd. Leclerc is in 3rd. He's at the fastest lap of the race on. He's at the fastest lap of the race on 4/10 quicker than Max Verstappen. He doesn't want to go too hard on it straight out the pits, presumably.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably half a second left in the pocket for him, but if you do, you take too much out of the tyre too early. Remember, he's got, you know, the best part of 75 this set of this race still to look after them. He needs to look after them in the early stages in the early stages, because if he goes too hard, there's still nothing left. If he goes too hard, he's attacking him later on. But when Verstappen is attacking him later on,
I wait to be corrected, but I wait to be corrected. This strategy at all from Ferrari. It feels like you are just. It feels like in a situation where Verstappen looked quicker. In a situation where Verstappen looked quicker and was closing in, but a bit. You're now handing him not massively, but a bit. Tyre offset in the closing stages of the Grand Prix.
It feels like everybody else right now has to try something. Do something spectacular in order to beat Max Verstappen. Max can just go out and drive his own race, and he'll go and win the race on plan A or plan B. It doesn't matter what plan, but it's as if people have to think outside the box to try and beat him. Ferrari have tried that now. Let's see if it works out. I mean, I think, as you think, Jack, I think it's very early. Red Bull think it's very early. Max Verstappen thinks it's too early as well.
And they've given away track
What does
position, I
Charles Leclerc
suppose. Which would be the call that you say don't give up the lead of a race. Which would be the call that you say don't give up the lead of a race. But I think they saw that window of opportunity and went for it. We're not going to judge it until the end of this race, are we? Yeah, I mean, we're not going to judge it until the end of this race, are we? We can't go. But it wasn't wrong. I think fair play to them for giving it a go. It wasn't wrong. Well, it's just riskier, I think.
Do not short shift.
Charles Leclerc radio.
In corner exit, short shift. In corner exit.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, so Leclerc being told don't short shift on corner exit. Why would he be doing that?
Corner exit. Do not short shift. In corner
To the engine and can actually hurt the internals of the unit. Just thinking about the strategy, if Verstappen were to pit now, he'd filter in, what is it, just around about where Carlos Sainz is. So I think that Verstappen has to extend a little bit more, try and either filter in or wait for Carlos Sainz to pit so that he's got a gap to work in as well. But he'll come out about, 15 seconds behind Leclerc on the race. It's that time back. It's not the ideal strategy, but it is. It's not the ideal strategy, but it is. It's not
25 seconds pit loss here. 25 seconds. Quite a big loss compared to some of them last weekend. We were looking at 19 some of them last weekend. So it is lumpy. And I think Leclerc came out ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. That was the key to that. If it had come out in the middle of that train of traffic, If it had come out in the middle of that train of traffic, disaster for Ferrari, but he didn't.
Hamilton gets ahead of Lance Stroll and up into 11th place now. His next target is Joe, who's 4.5 seconds up the road. Kevin Magnussen's been given a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. We mentioned most of that was because he gained 4 positions. Well, most of that was because he got behind and was sent off the road. He kind of got hit from behind and was sent off the road. The stewards have made lap 17 of 53. The stewards have made lap 17 of 53. Leclerc signs the top 4. The good news for Verstappen is that he's lapping about 6 tenths of a second. Is that he's lapping about 6 tenths of a second. Carlos Sainz. So that Dan. Carlos Sainz, so that grow enough may well over the next few laps for Verstappen to be able to over the next few laps for Verstappen to be able to leading as he comes across the line. 7 seconds clear of George Russell. As he comes across the line. 7 seconds clear of George Russell. Leclerc. It's then 9 seconds back to Sainz. Leclerc. 4 seconds back to Ricciardo, who has managed to stave off the attack of Gasly, Alonso, Norris, De Vries, etc. For the moment.
Hamilton now starting to make up some places, isn't he? He's got to 11th, having started on the back row. It took him a really long time to manage to reshuffle back up towards the front, whereas Sainz has made quite clear progress to get to 4th. We know that, but he is now starting to at least cut through some of that. He is now starting to at least cut through some of that traffic.
Norris is making a move on Fernando Alonso. Norris is making a move on Fernando Alonso here. Norris to the inside, onto the brakes into Lando Norris now up into 6th position. Lando Norris now up and covers through the 6th position. Sorry, up into 7th position as he recovers through the field after his position. As he recovers through the field after his down to 8th. De Vries in 9th. Alonso down to 8th. De Vries in 9th. Joe in 10th. And up into 16th. Kevin Magnussen. Position for the Alfa Romeo driver. Position for the Alfa Romeo driver. 7 seconds over George Russell. Lead is 7 seconds over George Russell. The fastest lap of the race. Now he was the to pit under that virtual safety car. Admittedly, once wouldn't have done, but his tyre offset is 12 laps, so he pitted 12 laps, or his tyres are going to be 12 laps older than everybody else's, depending on when they pit. Lap 19 of 53. 7.4 seconds now, Verstappen's advantage over Russell. This time it's a 25.4, so it's another half a second. Leclerc takes out of Verstappen's advantage at the front of the race, but Verstappen still has to pit again. It's just so long, this Grand Prix, for the medium tyres, but Ferrari are up for it, and Leclerc was up for it as well. Ferrari are up for it, and Leclerc was up for it as well. Feels like there's a lot more interaction in those. Gasly team radio bits from 9th, as does Joe. Comes into the pits from 9th, as does Joe. Gasly into the pit lane in the Alfa Tower. Place. You said a hard tyres. Gasly into the pit lane in the Alfa Tower. Gasly, you said a hard tyres, and even those pitting later than And even those pitting later are putting on a set of hard tyres, but Leclerc are putting on a set of hard tyres. But the sort of strategy
it always seems more discussional now.
What do you think? What do you think?
What do you think?
I don't know. I think that, you know, Charles.
Yeah, it feels like the driver now has more of a say, whereas before it was just right, you're coming in right now. Whereas before it was just right, you're coming in right now. I think that the fact that Gasly and Joe have pitted will everybody else into pitting over the next couple of laps. Everybody else into pitting over the next couple of laps. He won't want to be overtaken by Joe, who was right behind him. Gasly will want to try and get past behind him. Gasly will want to try and get past. So Ricciardo and those two pitting, so we'll have a knock-on effect. Those two pitting, the rest of that will have a knock-on effect for the rest of that midfield.
Everybody coming in and putting on the hard tyres. Everybody coming in and putting on the hard tyres. Medium tyres.
I think a lot of them now, now that they've done 20 laps, a lot of them now, now that they've done 20 laps, most of them, Jenny, I think a lot of them, or most of them.
No, my sinking feeling though is for Leclerc having made the decision to go onto those medium tyres. They've made the decision to go onto those medium tyres. People even coming in now.
They have to go onto the hards unless they can go another 10 laps, as we see, and then try and make the software filtering. As we see Nick de Vries
given a black and white warning flag for. He's been given a black and white warning flag, so he needs to keep an eye on that one. Comes into the keep an eye on his first. Comes into the pit lane for his first. Daniel Ricciardo making his way out on the hard tyres. Daniel Ricciardo making his way out on the hard tyres for him. Another set of well, no, it's a set of mediums for Nick de Vries. So that's interesting. Well, no, it's a set of mediums for Nick de Vries. So that's interesting. Most of the drivers coming in and going onto the hards. Obviously, most of the drivers coming in and going onto the hards because they only can go onto the mediums because they started on the mediums. So Leclerc had the choice of only on mediums. So Leclerc had the choice. He started on the mediums. Everyone is coming in on the mediums. Started on the softs. Everyone is coming in on the mediums. And has no choice but to pit onto the hards. Started on the softs and has gone out and chosen the mediums. On the softs and has gone out and chosen the mediums. So those that did start on the mediums to the end of the Grand Prix. A run on the mediums to the end of the Grand Prix.
Started on the soft and he's gone onto the hard. He started on the soft and he's gone onto the hard tyre.
Correct. But the point is, everyone on the mediums. But the point is, everyone on the mediums couldn't go onto the mediums. Fighting with Ocon fighting at the moment over 16th position. The order is at the moment over 16th position. The order is 9 seconds between leads. Russell second. Neither have pitted. Leclerc in third has pitted. Neither have pitted. Leclerc in third has pitted. Sainz in fourth. His pace is bad. Carlos Sainz, unfortunately. His pace is bad. Spaniard. Unfortunately, he's on the medium tyre, admittedly, but he's on the medium tyre, admittedly, but he's a Verstappen and Russell. Now that might be tired. Verstappen and Russell. Now that might be tired. Delta. He's only 2 tenths quicker than Lando Norris in the McLaren behind. He's only 2 tenths quicker than Lando Norris in the McLaren behind. 6th hasn't pitted Hamilton. Norris hasn't pitted Schumacher. 6th hasn't pitted Hamilton. 7th hasn't pitted Schumacher. 8th hasn't pitted Bottas. By the way, in 10th position. So they've managed to, by the way, not only get that brake fire put out while he was driving around, but also they seem to be in fine condition, and he's still going. Magnussen, Ricciardo, Gasly, de Vries, and Joe, the rest of the top 15. Gasly still trying to close in on Daniel Ricciardo for what is net 5th position now. Norris is staying out there, lap 21 of 53. The right-hander of Curva Grande now.
Just having a look at Nick de Vries' pit stop. His first ever Nick de Vries' pit stop in a live race. He missed his mark in a live race. He missed his mark and that can unsettle the whole team who were centred around like a 1 centimetre, 1 inch centred around like a 1 centimetre, 1 inch job. The team window, but actually got him onto those medium tyres. The team backed up, but it's got him onto those medium tyres and back out. But that repetition of doing pit stop practice for the team, and then repetition of doing pit stop practice for the team, and then it changes.
Plan C, we are thinking plan C, plan C.
So Leclerc, they're now thinking plan C. They're now thinking plan C. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, surely not a two-stopper. Surely we wouldn't be doing it.
Oh, why would... It doesn't make any sense. And if he was in front, I might get it, but time will tell, Jack. Time will tell. Going on to Jenny's point, I thought Nick de Vries' stop was really strong. Williams, like you said, looked after him. It's very difficult to hit those marks, especially if it's his first one. He might have been a little bit nervous. We see Sergio Perez now going around the outside of one of the Alfa Romeos into ninth place. Sergio Perez. He has pitted. Sergio Perez. He not pitted. Bottas 22 of 53. Verstappen's lead now 10 seconds over Russell. Verstappen's lead now 10 seconds over Russell. Back now from George Russell. 5 seconds back now, lapping about a second a lap, and quicker, lapping about a second Mercedes ahead of him. Quicker
than the Mercedes ahead of him. 3 or 4 laps, he'll be there on the back of the 3 or 4 laps. He'll be there on the back of the when the Mercedes decides to pit.
Yeah, nice move from Perez. I mean, nice move from Perez. Disappointing day. I mean, disappointing day for him. Really bitterly disappointing. Let's see if he can salvage anything from today. I think points are on the card, but it's been difficult as we see a picture of his dad, Antonio, clapping. Normally a very, very happy man. Looks a little bit concerned. Let's call it kind of concerned. Let's call it at the moment. I think going back to Nick de Vries. I think if you're Williams, you'd be mad not to look at him for next year. I think if you're Williams, I really think that he's stamped his authority on that seat. I really think that he's stamped his authority on that seat. And Alpine, I mean, dare I say it? I mean, Alpine, there's another slot there. Those are the 2 seats that are available. There's another slot there. Those are the 2 seats that are available. A team bossing both of those teams, you'd be looking at a team boss. Nick de Vries after the performance he's put in so far this weekend. Nick de Vries after the performance he's put in so far this weekend.
19 Formula 2 championship as well. 19 Formula 2 championship as well that year. It was his only real, not a particularly strong that year and season. And on that, it's quite interesting. It's a bit of a side note, but with all these seats sort of.
Okay, everything looks okay from our side.
The mix for any of them.
That's a weird one on me. I don't know why he hasn't got an allegiance with any of these teams, why they haven't taken a decent look at him, but I think they should. And someone like Williams, he'd be a great signing. Alonso Team Radio.
We have a problem with the deployment now. Everything is normal.
Okay, everything looks okay from our side.
Wow.
So Alonso feeling that there's something wrong with all the deployment, but the team saying no. A bit of a sticky stop for Mercedes as Russell comes into the pits and heads out again. He's gone onto the hard tyre. 14 seconds back from to now be 14 seconds back. He's going to come out behind Carlos Verstappen. He's going to come out behind Carlos Sainz. Sainz going to come out ahead of Lando Norris. He's going to come out ahead of Lando Norris. And Norris is who's that coming down behind? That's Alonso, who's under quite a lot of pressure here from Schumacher.
So Lando, our plan is just to continue going.
Hamilton, sorry, it's Hamilton right behind Fernando Alonso as they come into the Rettifilio, fighting over 6th position. Perez is about to get Mick Schumacher coming into the Rettifilio, looks to the inside, and the Red Bull is through. Up into 8th place. He has pitted. Those he's fighting at the moment have not pitted, and Hamilton's not able to get Alonso at the moment. I think the thing with the Formula 2 champion these days, the first year, these days it feels like you have to win it in your first year. Sort of vibe now. And no one cares about. He was decent in his first year. Drugovich, he was decent in his first year. Second season considering. Not great really. And then second season considering. At a relative canter in his third year. Again at a relative canter in his third year. Again. Strong field is the general strong field is the general where you end up with Drugovich. And I guess that's sort of where you end up with Drugovich. I do think de Vries has done a good showing this weekend. He was already in contention for seats, wasn't he? He was already in contention for seats, wasn't he? But then you have to ask who isn't. I mean, those attached to seats that have contracts are still.
Just a little bit of this.
Still in contention, so it's fascinating to watch. Just listening across to Charles Leclerc's radio, they say, you are doing a good job on tyres. Keep it like this. Worth noting, Russell went onto the hard tyre. Twitch for Hamilton as he came through the parabolica there. He was right behind Fernando Alonso and would have made the move fairly straightforwardly, but has now dropped back a little bit from the Alpine. Sainz also saying on the radio he wants the Verstappen has done. They look like a good race on the soft tyre now. So the race on the soft tyre now. Sainz could come into the pits, stick on a set of softs, and Sainz could come into the pits, stick on a set of softs, because he's managed to go this far in, because he's managed to go this far in medium tyre. And medium so tyre, maybe do the softs in the second stint, which would be an interesting decision, which would be an interesting decision. Magnussen who comes in, waiting in the pit lane for Kevin Magnussen who comes in. Verstappen is going to be coming in hard tyres. At the end of this lap, Magnussen serves his 5-second time penalty for gaining the time at the start by gaining the time at the start by cutting across the chicane. So Max Verstappen into the pits. It's a set of medium tyres waiting for Verstappen. And he's just pitted, Steve. Into the pits comes Max Verstappen. And so a new set of medium retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. We're approaching half-race distance. The lead of the Grand Prix. Leclerc's lead is pretty big. It's going to be around lead is pretty big. It's going to be around about. And so Verstappen, I would have now has much fresher tyres. The gap is 10 seconds. Much fresher tyres. He's now just going to try and 10 seconds. Close in on Leclerc in the second half of the Grand Prix. If he wants to stop a Ferrari win at the Grand Prix. If he wants to stop a Ferrari win at Monza.
So, Sainz third, Russell fourth, Norris Sainz third, Russell fourth, 10 seconds for Verstappen, 10 seconds for Verstappen, 7 or 8 laps, 20 to go, 7 or 8 laps. Interesting this. Very interesting. Interesting this.
Yeah, now it's
very interesting.
Yeah, it's a two-horse race, isn't it? It's a two-horse race, isn't it? Max Verstappen on brand new mediums, Charles Verstappen on brand new mediums, Charles Leclerc 15-lap-old mediums now. 15 see who wants to win the Grand Prix. We're going to see who wants to win the Grand Prix.
Lewis Hamilton still trying to get ahead of Fernando Alonso. Hamilton still trying to get ahead of Fernando Alonso. He's coming into the first position. He's coming into the first 2 gears, then down 2 gears, then it's a 13 lap on the power tyre offset. It's a 13 27 laps tyre offset to go with 27 laps for Max Verstappen. For Max Verstappen. We'll see what the pace is like because. We'll see what the pace is like because you see the gas scenario you see initially, the gas kind of very quickly plateaus out once you've used the best of the tyre. Plateaus out once you've used the George Russell was speaking about actually after Spa. George Russell was speaking about actually after Spa was because he went too hard on his medium tyres, so then had nothing left when he actually got to the back of the cars. He was trying to
Daniel, do you think there is any
for third place in Spa, which Carlos Sainz. Hamilton's very close to the back of Alonso here. This is going to be his best opportunity of the race so far to get him into 6th place. Hamilton yet to pit, Alonso yet to pit. Hamilton in the slipstream of Alonso, and the DRS goes to the inside, and Hamilton gets ahead of Alonso and up into 6th place. So it's been a little bit of a slower carve through the order for Hamilton, as for Verstappen, and also for Carlos being made, and he's now ahead of Alonso, who's doing an interesting job extending because he was in that whole squabble with Ricciardo and Gasly and De Vries. Ricciardo and Gasly and De Vries holding up. Ricciardo is holding up. Is still within DRS. Gasly and De Vries is still within DRS. Fascinated to see what happens when. So all of those who are yet to pit, all of those who are yet to pit.
The ones who still have to pit, Sainz, he's done 26 laps on those medium tyres. Others still to pit, it will be Norris, Hamilton, Alonso.
Hold Gasly up by 1/10 to give Lando a clear track. Daniel, do you think there is
and Bottas and the key ones that haven't pitted yet? And I'm just wondering, are Ferrari going to try and do another pit stop with Leclerc? Are they going to try and bring him in and put him on a set of softs at the end of this to make him racy? What are they doing? The maths, I can imagine in the pit wall back at the strategy centre, they're working this out to try and work out what is our best move of trying to win this. Do we stick where we are, or do we twist?
I think they've got to stick, Jenny. I don't see how you catch Max Verstappen now that he's on medium compound tyres. Of medium compound tyres. I mean, the gap right now is the gap right now is so Max Verstappen will reel him in over the next 10 laps. Reel him in over the next 10 laps. Lost. You've said is 25 seconds. So Leclerc would need to catch him. Let's say if he comes in with 15.
Where do we currently stand?
In with 15 laps to go or something. Well over a second and a half a lap, and then you've got to overtake as well and have tyres left at the end. It's not achievable, I don't think. I think he's just got to hang it out there now and try and hang on and see if he can win this race.
Now, one of the interesting things this weekend is that Red Bull believe that Ferrari have their engines, which sort of equates for some of the reason that they're, sort of equates for some of the reason that they're, kind of maybe thought they would be here than we kind of maybe thought they would be over the last. Reliability concerns that come with it. That's concerns that Red Bull believe, come with it. That's just what Red Bull believe, but it was surprising pace considering the Ferrari surprising pace that Ferrari have here. I don't know, and maybe it's a big risk that they're going taking to. Maybe it's a big risk that they're going taking to win their home race.
That's why he was told not to short shift on the exit demands because comes extra pressure, extra strain on the engine. It is something you do when you've got an important race. Is you put
similar pace to Magnussen.
Those extra risks. I've been at Le Mans with Ferrari where we've taken extra risks with regards to the engine and components, and because it's a big race and because it's a celebration, you do go for it, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't, but if it pays off, it's incredible.
Yep, looking all right so far for Charles Leclerc. He, on the last lap, was only half a second slower. Now down to 8.2 seconds. Lap 29.2 seconds in the Italian Grand Prix.
But if it continues a half a second a lap, but if it continues a half a second a lap with 5 or 7 laps to go, be right on the gearbox. 5 or 7 laps to go, be right on the gearbox.
Carlos Sainz being told the soft is faster than expected. The 2/10 faster than expected. The 2/10. He's going so long into this Grand Prix than expected. He's going so long into this Grand Prix. Now been caught by George Russell. He's still got a bit of gain, Sainz, but if he can go onto the softs,
faster than expected. The soft.
That time to the back of Russell. Norris has still got the bit of gain, as have Hamilton and Alonso and Perez. Now Norris, if he were to come into the pits now, would be about 50 seconds. So I think if it looks like Norris and maybe even Hamilton, but they've managed to, and maybe Alonso have managed to sort of overcut Daniel Ricciardo and that chasing gang. Such has been Ricciardo's pace. Now he's come out ahead of Ricciardo, and I don't think he'd come out ahead of Ricciardo. And I don't think Hamilton are too far away. And Hamilton are too far away. Ricciardo's just holding either because Gasly and Perez. Ricciardo's just holding Gasly and De Vries.
Gasly and Perez. Gasly and De Vries. He's been the cork in the bottle that whole race. Absolutely. When he was sitting in for the whole race. Absolutely. When he was sitting in top 3, he dropped. I mean, doing a solid job, but he clearly doesn't have the pace to really be running. He clearly doesn't have the pace to really be running. It seems to have worked for those drivers that you just mentioned.
So we'll see when they come into the pits. Verstappen is setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Gap is down to 7.3 seconds, so it might be as much as a second that Verstappen closes in on Leclerc on this lap, or on lap 31 of 53. So very much into the second half of this Grand Prix, and Leclerc across the line now. He does a 1 minute 25.6. Verstappen does a 24.7, so pretty much a second quicker. Sainz is coming into the pit lane now for Ferrari.
Leclerc needs, what I think, in order to win this race right now, in order to win this race right now, and then he can go to the soft tyre. Will be behind Verstappen. Will be behind Verstappen. Pushes the boundaries on. Really, I mean, pushes the boundaries on. That, I mean, what they say that could be close to a drive-through. They say that could be close to a drive-through.
Yeah, big lockup for Carlos Sainz. It's been a 5-second penalty in the last few races. 5-second penalty in the last few races. The neat stop itself for Sainz as he came in all locked up, but then once he got into the box, as it were, he managed to get it. He managed to get it stopped, and he's coming out just behind Sergio Perez. Now Perez has pitted, but he's got a long way to go on these hard tyres. May well be doable, Perez. He's running in 7th place, but Sainz has now got to aim at, I don't know where Sainz can get back up to here. Depends on this pace on the soft tyre. Maybe back up to 4 potentially, but I mean, Norris is a long way up the road.
The race that Perez has had in it, you would say the race that Perez has had in it, you would say it's particularly great. Sainz has been carving his way through, yet after both carving his way through, yet after both find themselves, you find Carlos Sainz behind themselves, and you find Carlos Sainz behind Perez. That's close, isn't it? We just saw a replay of him coming in the pits, and it's very close to overspeeding, and it's very close to overspeeding.
So Charles Leclerc leading the Italian Grand Prix, leading second Italian Grand Prix. Verstappen at second 6.4 seconds back as they come across the line that time. There was another 7 come across the line that time. There was another 7 of Leclerc's lead. Russell is third, 19 seconds back from those top 2 on the hard tyre. 9.3 seconds ahead of Lando Norris, and lapping quicker than Norris by about a second a lap. So he's in a strong position. George Russell, and then Norris in 4th, Hamilton 5th. He's yet to pit. Alonso is yet to pit. Schumacher in 9th. Perez and Sainz have pitted. Schumacher in 9th is yet to pit. And Ricciardo has pitted, and he's in 11th place. Has pitted. Sainz has already got past Alonso now. Sainz has already got past Alonso. Let's see where Alonso emerges in the Alpine, because that's going to be interesting with the fight. That's going to be Ricciardo. Interesting with the nobody's there. Ricciardo. Oh, nobody's there. Alonso out of the race. Alonso out of the race. Bad news for Alpine, and he's bad news for Alpine, and he's Fernando Alonso. Lamented reliability problems at Alpine, costing him 40 or 50 points this season. Costing him 40 or 50 points this season. Into the mix there.
Saying earlier, wasn't he, have we got deployment issues? Whether they had or not, doesn't matter.
Okay, Max, so just control your medium
32 laps, that Alpine car is out of the running, and as you say, there was a gap of 24 points between them and McLaren. Will that close up in a significant way? At the moment, Ocon out of the points, whereas Norris running in 4th.
Yeah, so fourth position for Lando Norris would give him 12 points, so pretty much half it. the advantage that Alpine have in the championship for fourth position. Now De Vries is still fourth position, trying to put a move on Pierre Gasly, trying to put a move on Pierre Gasly, but as they come down towards Ascari, but we know how quickly AlphaTauri is in a straight line, but it's not AlphaTauri is in a straight line, but it's not actually able to, despite having the DRS, Ricardo in front, De Vries himself is struggling to get ahead of Pierre Gasly, himself is struggling to get ahead of Pierre Gasly, 11th, great little 12th places, 11th and 12th places. Charles Leclerc has said Plan C confirmed. Has said Plan C confirmed.
Another stop incoming. That's the question. What is Plan C? Just so you know, 32 laps for Norris and Hamilton on their medium tyres. They still haven't come into pit, nor has Schumacher and Bottas.
I think it's got to be another stop for Ferrari with 21 laps to go. The gap's down to 5 seconds now. They're not winning this Grand Prix if they stay out with Leclerc.
For it now is
so
Sainz.
They've got to go for it again and go for it. Great move from Carlos Sainz. Perez great squeeze from Carlos Sainz. Perez gave him a squeeze there in the early stages of the Grand Prix. Or in the early stages of the Grand Prix. He has managed to get ahead. Sainz is up into 6th place. Sainz is up into 6th place. From the race lead then. Charles Leclerc from the race lead Ferrari. It's a new set of soft tyres for Ferrari. It's a new set of soft tyres. Lower down. Out he goes. And rejoins the second. And we've got a chase on. Rejoins the second. We've got 20 laps on in the final 20 Italian Grand Prix of this. Verstappen in the Italian Grand Prix. Verstappen in the lead. Down. Leclerc on the soft tyre. Chasing him down. The gap's going to be soft tyre. What about 15, 16 seconds as he emerges? 15, 16 seconds as he onto the brakes into the first corner. 18 and a half seconds. 18 and a half seconds is so he needs almost a second a lap, Charles Leclerc, to close in on Verstappen and win the Grand Prix.
George Russell in the Mercedes must be thinking, what on earth's just happened? Because all of a sudden he's got Charles Leclerc right in front of him in his sights.
Hamilton meanwhile pits then, so off go the mediums. He gets a new set of soft tyres and makes his way towards the end of the pit lane, so it's just Schumacher and Bottas and Norris who are yet to pit. Ricardo's now up into 10th position. Ricardo's now up into Schumacher's position. Does pit. I say that, and Hamilton is going to emerge just at the back of this long old queue. Just at the back of this long old queue. So just at the back of the Gasly, De Vries, Bottas, Joe, Ricardo, Gasly, De Vries, Joe, which is all Hamilton over now. Q, which is all over 7th position. Yeah, net 7th place. Position. Ricardo, I think, is in a net 7th place. Ricardo, I think, is in a net 7th place. Valtteri Bottas makes his pit stop. Valtteri Bottas makes his pit stop. Valtteri Bottas having started or having been at the back of the grid on the opening lap. Now, gap is up to 19. Up to 19 and a half seconds Verstappen over Leclerc on this outlap, so not a huge amount of pace on the outlap for Leclerc. We'll see what sort of rhythm he settles into. It's a bit, that's a tall ask.
No, it's over a second a lap, Jack. I really can't see it happening now. I find it a little bit the fact that where's Sebastian Vettel and his thinking and where he's parked his car and where he's parked his car meant that the virtual safety car has ended quite quickly, which is then affected quickly. Which is then affected Ferrari. Leclerc in the Ferrari affected their strategy. If that virtual safety car had stayed out longer, this deficit would maybe be 9 seconds. You'd say is doable. 9 seconds. You'd say is doable. 19.
Well, we'll get a tell at the end of this lap to exactly what the pace is. Hamilton is getting to the inside. Hamilton is getting to the inside of Joe for 11th place onto the brakes into the Red Ophelia, and Hamilton gets up into 11th position. His next target is going to be Nick De Vries in the Williams, who at the moment is in 10th place, and even if Hamilton gets ahead, I think he'll still be in a net 10th place here, Nick De Vries, so he could be on for a point in Formula 1 race. That's not beyond the realms of possibility. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. Now, Nick in that Williams. Leclerc, Norris is going to come into the pits. Norris is going to come into the pits. Coming around the final corner. No pace across the line. Around the final corner and across the line. He's slower by 4/10 of a second. Max Verstappen. Leclerc slower than Verstappen by 4/10 of a second. Slower than Verstappen. No way Ferrari are going to be winning this. No way Ferrari are going to be winning this. Certainly if the race just plays out like this. Certainly if the race just plays out like this. Has no pace. Leclerc has no pace than race leader Max Verstappen. Into the pits comes leader Norris Verstappen in the McLaren. Is he going to come out ahead of his teammate? They'll hope he does, or if not, it'll be on a new set. Or if not, it'll be on a new set of soft tyres and be able to fight through the field. On go the tyres. It's a bit sticky on the front right. He eventually gets lowered down. That's cost him seconds. A little bit of time. 2.5 seconds lost in the pit lane for Lando Norris. Makes his way in the pit lane for Lando Norris. Makes his way towards the end of the pit lane. He's flashing over the tyres on. And it's going to be really, really tight. Between the two, going to be really, really tight. But Ricciardo's going to get it, I think. But Ricciardo's going to get it, I think. And the AlphaTauri looks to the outside of Norris. And the AlphaTauri looks to the outside of Norris. And that's Gasly holds the place. Norris is going to get the drive off the place. Norris is going to get the drive off the corner. Hamilton sticks his nose in. Hamilton takes advantage. Gets ahead of Norris. Takes advantage. Gasly and is suddenly now up into 7th position. But they're still going side by side, actually. Gasly's on the outside. Side by side, actually. Gasly's on the outside. But Hamilton has the inside and is through. So Hamilton has the inside and is through. So Hamilton into 7th place. Ricciardo in 6th for McLaren. Norris simply because of the Norris simply because Verstappen leads. Leclerc second. Verstappen leads. Leclerc second. Perez fifth. Ricciardo's fourth. Perez Gasly, Norris and De Vries are the rest of the top 10. De Vries with Joe in 11th of the top 12. Tsunoda with Joe in 11th, the TV15. Tsunoda 13th, 14th, the TV15. The 18 driver is still running. Alonso, the 18 driver is still running.
5.1 second pit stop for Norris. 5.1 second pit stop for Norris. Traffic, and then he was just sitting traffic, and then he was just sitting down. So front right was a little bit sticky, and then front right was a little bit sticky, and then they tried to get back in for another take. They tried to get back in for another take, actually, in the front right.
Well, I think what it was, the front right was slow on, then finally when it went on, the front right was slow on, then finally when it went on, they didn't the green light. They were waiting with the green light, and then he got waiting with the green light. I think they thought maybe that's why they got the green light. Maybe that's why they wasn't on the green light, because the front right still wasn't on. Here comes Hamilton on, and Norris is able to get ahead of Gasly as well. So Norris up into 8th. Ricciardo is in 6th position. So
Russell, 25.95 apex, turn 5 apex.
Ricciardo and Norris 7th and 8th. 9th for Pierre Gasly, 10th for Nick De Vries, 11th for Zhou Guanyu.
So frustrating that as a driver, Jack, when you've worked so hard at extending a stint, you've been maybe a few tenths a lap quicker than the people that you've been trying to overtake in the overcut, and then something happens in the pit stop, 3 seconds lost. If you're gaining two tenths a lap for 15 laps, all that hard work for 15 laps undone in 3 seconds in the pit stop.
Max Verstappen leading the Grand Prix on the medium tyre. Leading the Grand Prix on the medium tyre. Leclerc is in second, he does the 4 tenths quicker, and Norris is getting ahead of Ricciardo now, and Norris is getting ahead of Ricciardo now. Team play, good Ricciardo, and Norris play. Norris is up into 7th place now. Norris is up into 7th place now. He's got a shot at Hamilton, potentially. He's got a shot at Hamilton, potentially. That's about it. But he has got a shot at Hamilton on the soft tyres, but they're both on relatively soft tyres, so it would need to be quite soft tyres, so it would need to be quite something from Norris if he was going to catch and pass Hamilton, but we'll see what happens. Lap 38 of 53.
As it stands, if the race were to finish like this, Verstappen would clearly still lead the World Championship. He'd collect 25 points, so he'd be on 335. Who would collect 19 for the fastest lap as well. Who would be on 200 for the fastest lap as well. Who would be on 220 points. 211, 211, and Sainz 187, and Sainz 166. Those are major players. 166. Those are major players.
Nick De Vries go in the Italian Grand Prix. Nick De Vries might be fancies too, because he's riding the fancies too, because he's riding the slipstream of Pierre Gasly. Thinks about it. Position. Too far back. For the Dutchman on this occasion, for the Dutchman on this occasion. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix for Leclerc. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix for Max Verstappen. 4 tenths quicker than Max Verstappen. It's really remarkable stuff. And going off those numbers, Jenny, Verstappen could win the title in Singapore. Could win the title if it finishes like Singapore at the next race if it finishes like this.
That would be remarkable. Bearing in mind we finished so late in December last year. For him to become, and I remember having this conversation early on in the season, for him to become a double world champion, it would be one of the quickest descendants to be a double world champion ever if he could finish off in Singapore.
39 of 53. 39 of 53.
Chance to break the most wins in a season very soon as well. Most wins in a season very soon as well.
Schumacher has the record with 13. Schumacher has the record with 13 wins.
This would be 11th win of the season.
Yes, you're right.
So it would only take a couple more races for him to get a couple more races for him to get that honour as well.
Earlier in the week, and we thought that it's a done deal already, isn't it? That's a form that he's in, the way that the car is, everything about it, the way that the car is, everything about it is so impressive.
block from
Nice
Nick De Vries
little
as he
late
tries to block from Nick De Vries as he tries to behind in their fight over 10th position. De Vries has dropped back a little from Pierre Gasly in ninth spot. So now De Vries under pressure more than anything else, covers the middle ground as they come into the chicane. Also got Ocon arriving at a reasonable pace, about half a second a lap or so quicker. Verstappen leading, Leclerc second. So Verstappen leading, Leclerc second. Russell in third, fourth for Carlos Sainz, fifth for Perez, fourth for Carlos Sainz, Norris in sixth and seventh. What were their last laps like? Hamilton was quicker by 3/10 of a second. So by 3/10 of a second, hold that gap in sixth place. Sergio Perez is too far ahead, I think. Sergio Perez is too far ahead, I think. In fifth position, seventh position, fifth position, 10th position. But he's really started to drop back. Last couple of laps, he's started to drop of the last couple of laps. He's fallen out of the. From the fight with Pierre Gasly after he was really close with Pierre Gasly after he was really close and really putting him under pressure. Is now really putting him under pressure. Just putting a lap on Kevin Magnussen as he comes down towards the
We're going to retire the car, so cool the brakes and box this lap. We're going to retire the car. So Lance, cool the brakes, cool the brakes.
The second ahead of Joe as they come down towards the Rettifilio, right near each other as they come down into the braking zone. And who is going to emerge in front? Here's some radio.
So Lance, cool the brakes, cool the brakes. We're going to retire the car, so cool the brakes and box this lap. We're going to retire the car, cool the brakes and box.
So Stroll out of the Grand Prix. De Vries managed to hold on to 10th place. They're close again coming down to Della Roggia, but not able to make the move again is Joe. So De Vries holding on. Stroll was retiring for Aston Martin. He was position anyway, so both Aston Martin anyway. So out of this Aston Martin, lap 41 of 53. Lap 41 of 53 was 2 tenths quicker than Verstappen on that last lap. Was 2 tenths quicker than Verstappen on that last lap. For what it's worth, which is nothing.
Okay, so at the moment, Max Verstappen would have, if it finishes like this, 335 points. We've said that already, to 220. That's a lead of 115 points. If he were to win in Singapore, he would take the title, because that would mean that he would have... he'd need 21 points, basically, to win the title in Singapore.
So he needs to win and no points for Leclerc, crucially. If he needs 21 more points, is that what you're saying? So yes. A win wouldn't do it. He'd need a win and
Leclerc to finish lower down than
exactly.
Fourth.
So, but it's doable. So, but it's doable. We got 3 weeks to work that out, Jen. We got 3 weeks to work that out. Don't stress about it now.
It's doing my daughter's maths homework today. It's doing my daughter's maths homework today. That's the level I'm at, not this one.
Probably should be simpler, shouldn't it? This probably should be simpler, shouldn't it? Nicholas Latifi. Across the line comes Nicholas Latifi. Schumacher. He's under big down into the first corner. Coming down into the first corner. Goes for it. Big locker. And Schumacher goes for it. Latifi gives him room. And then they get really close on the exit. And, well, that was an overtake from Schumacher, but it was... that's how you force your way through, I think it's fair to say. Latifi opted not to have a crash, and Schumacher was like, OK, I'll go past you then. Latifi gets straight back past him, coming into Della Roggia, though.
The Haas is very, very weak in a straight line. I mean, the Williams is really struggling for traction. Done now as he does into Lesmo 1. Done now as he does into Lesmo 1. Get out of DRS zone because he's just got so much more grip because he's just got so much more grip than Nicholas Latifi. But it just goes to show this weekend in a straight line, even in DRS, he was really struggling to hold on to the Williams. He was really struggling to hold on to the Williams.
So far back. He sent it from Latifi far back. It's one of those where Latifi does well to avoid the manages to stay on the circuit, but that gave Schumacher the position, and he wasn't quick enough on the exit either. So he wasn't quick enough on the exit either. So for Latifi, he's about to get done by Bottas as well. And this is all in very stark contrast to Nick De Vries, who at the moment is only a tenth of a second ahead of Joe. Where are they on the circuit? They are there coming into the first corner, and Joe doesn't quite make it stick. They were right together at Della Roggia that time around. Bottas is getting ahead of Nicholas Latifi, but De Vries is still holding off Joe as they come into Della Roggia. and he still manages to stay in 10th place. He's managing to stay within a second of Gasly. He's managing to stay within a second, which is helping him. So he's getting DRS, which is helping him. Thing. He needs in his defence. That's the crucial thing. He needs to that DRS range. Lose that DRS range. Not drop behind. In order to not drop behind. To then for Joe to have a much more powerful. For Joe to have a much more powerful. Into the pits now. It sounds like into the pits now. Coming. It sounds like Perez from coming fifth place. Perez from Max Verstappen continues to lead the Grand Prix. Verstappen continues to lead the Grand Prix. Fifth position. Perez. I wonder where he's going to come out here. Might be behind the rest of the gang.
I don't think they'll care. They want the fastest lap. I don't think they'll care. They want the fastest lap point away. Do they want the fastest lap point away from Charles Leclerc? Do they want the fastest lap point away from Charles Leclerc? We saw Mercedes do it last year, didn't we? We saw Mercedes do it last year, didn't we? Just to get the lap. Sacrificing him.
I don't think you would do it at this point. I don't think you would do it at this point. You would do it if you were going for fastest lap. You would do it. Perez emerges from the pit lane. So Perez emerges from the pit lane behind Hamilton and Norris. So the order is Hamilton and Norris. So the order is Verstappen, Hamilton, the top 5. Russell, Sainz, Norris, Hamilton, the top 5. Ricardo, Norris, Gasly, Perez, Ricardo, Gasly, De Vries is under attack from Joe again. Coming under attack from Joe again. Coming into the steaming lock-up there from Nick De Vries. Steaming lock-up there from Nick De Vries on the front right in the Williams. Another drive coming into the another drive coming into the chicane at De Vries, but he's just a little. De Vries is still out of DRS range. De Vries is still out of DRS range of Pierre Gasly. Max Verstappen is leading this pretty comfortably now. Charles Leclerc Ferrari took a bit of a gamble. He came into the pits. Ferrari took a bit of a gamble, to be honest, and neither have paid off. They hoped he would come out on a new soft tyre. He would come out on a new soft tyre and close in the gap to Verstappen, but he hasn't been quicker than him at all. So Leclerc's running in second, Russell running a comfortable third, Sainz is in fourth position, Hamilton is up into fifth place. Well, both. Yeah. Well, both. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. I'm half committing to. I'm half committing to. Strategy for Ferrari and Leclerc today has been a disaster. Surely. Both have been absolutely the wrong calls. Both have been absolutely the wrong calls. Yes. And okay, the second call was kind of caused. And okay, the second call was kind of first call. By the incorrect first call. Anyway, let's just see what happens here, because Joe is right behind De Vries as they come right behind De Vries as they come down towards turn one again. De Vries covering the middle of the rear wing. They've also opens the rear wing. They've also get out the way. Verstappen coming to get out of the way.
As he does, which is giving as he does, which is giving for Nick De Vries. It just gives him a little bit of breathing space now. A little bit of breathing space now. Tyres to me look like they're really on their last legs. They're struggling on their last legs. Hang on to the back of Gasly. The other one is Perez. You were mentioning about why they did it. Perez, you were mentioning about why they did it. I feel like basically because I feel like he can cruise up to Red Bull. No, he can cruise Norris and Hamilton quite easily. Norris and Hamilton quite easily try and do the fastest lap, which is an extra point. The fastest lap, which is an extra point.
De Vries went onto the medium tyres. De Vries went onto the medium tyres when Joe on the same lap. So you're right, there is an offset. Those medium tyres. So you're right, there is an offset. Those medium tyres, as well as the hard, potentially, as well as the hard.
De Vries now about to get out the way of De Vries now about to get out the way towards the Verstappen as they come down towards the Verstappen chicane, and De Vries actually goes through, and De Vries actually got 1.4 seconds very nicely. He's got 1.4 seconds. When he got out the way, he also when he got out of the way, rather than Joe almost like out of the way, hammered on the anchors coming down into turn one, and Verstappen flew by. So that's worked out fairly nicely for the moment for De Vries.
Take care because they are racing. So blue flags for Joe.
The Italian Grand Prix. Sainz is closing in on Russell by about, it was a second and a half on that last lap, but he is 9.5 seconds back. So I think that's a bit of a stretch for Carlos Sainz. We'll keep an eye on it though, because it could be something that towards the end of the Grand Prix, that fight for third position, not that we're not towards the end of the Grand Prix already, to be honest. The top 10, Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, Gasly, Norris, Perez, Ricardo, Gasly, De Vries.
Fernando Alonso retired in the Alpine. Fernando Alonso retired in the Alpine. It was an issue which the team will investigate. After the race.
Yeah, Ferrari strategy thoughts. Yeah, Ferrari strategy thoughts.
I don't have many thoughts about them, to be honest. I think many thoughts about them, to be honest. I think that the first bold and a risk.
newcomers, please.
Norris saying he's busy. He's 4.1 seconds back. He's busy. He's 4.1 busy doing anything. He's 4 seconds back from Hamilton. He's 4 seconds. He's 4 seconds back from Hamilton. He's 4 seconds. Perez. Maybe Perez is closing in. Perez. Maybe Perez is closing in.
Perez with some fresh on new soft tyres. Going back to the Ferrari strategy, I feel like it was bold to come in under the virtual safety car when very quickly. It was a risk. Had it paid off, it would have given them an enormous amount of track time. But they left themselves with an awful lot to do on a medium compound tyre, on a medium compound tyre, and close to 40 laps to do on a medium round here. 40 laps to do on a medium round here. To ask. I think it was just too much to ask.
I don't understand why they put the mediums on. I don't understand why they put the mediums on. Roll the dice, give it a go. I get trying to come in, roll the dice, and criticise them too harshly for giving it a go. But they were in the lead of the race, and then they went to the medium tyres, and then they went to the medium tyres. Surely you can't get to the end, and you go, surely he has get to the end, and surely he hasn't got to the end. They brought him in a pivotal stop to try and challenge. He's still over 16 seconds behind. He's not even chipped away at that lead, really. He's not even chipped away at that lead, really. And Verstappen's been through all the traffic.
The second stop for Soft's been really bizarre. The second stop for Soft's been really bizarre. Leclerc has had on that. Debris has managed to get back within DRS range of Pierre Gasly and keep Pierre Gasly out of DRS range. So that's a very interesting one. So that's a very interesting one. 3 points finishes this season, 10th in Australia finishes this season, 10th in Australia, 9th in Spa, Miami.
Problem for Ricardo.
Ricardo loses the engine. Ricardo loses the engine. The Grand Prix, and that is out of the Grand Prix corners just before the second Lesmo. Corners just before the second Lesmo. That could be a full safety car with where that car is positioned. With where that car is positioned. We're on lap 47.53 for a 1 or 2 lap sprint here. Could be in for a 1 or 2 lap Italian Grand Prix to finish the Italian Grand Prix. Everybody will be coming out getting ready. Everybody will be getting ready to. Where are they on track? Leclerc. Where are they on track? Leclerc. Now, whatever happens. Potentially, whatever happens through the final corner comes through the final corner. Ferrari are out. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari are out. Comes through the final corner. Leclerc comes through the final corner. Stays out. And he stays out. Leclerc stays out. Russell in third. Leclerc and Russell in third. And
very slow to call whether this is a safety car or not. Still just a yellow safety car at the moment. Still just a yellow flag at the moment. There we go. No one's too late for the front runners to come in. Too late for the front runners to come in.
And Russell does pit though. And Russell pits from third. And he will be able to get onto a new soft tyre. And he's going to be mightily racy. And he's going to be in the closing stage of the Grand Prix, depending on how many laps we get. Depending on how many laps we get. I'm surprised Ferrari didn't.
Sainz is in the pits also. I'm surprised that Leclerc didn't go for that. I'm surprised that Leclerc didn't go for that. Reminded me of Abu Dhabi. Sorry, Leclerc versus Hamilton. Nothing to lose versus Hamilton. Why not just go for it? Try and win your home race.
And also, the worst case scenario is you'll come out in third and you're currently second.
Lando, might be a safety car. Yellow flags turn. We would lose 2. Daniel's retired. Might be a safety car. What do you think? We would lose 2.
But will we get any more racing? That's, I suppose, the question. Here's Verstappen's radio.
Can we make a pre-stop?
Yes.
But I guess they can pit this time around. That's a fair point from Verstappen, is they can come in for soft tyres on this time too, because it is a safety car.
Yeah, 15 seconds roughly for a safety car stop, and he has a 22-second lead over Leclerc.
Yeah, but they're all going slower now anyway.
Verstappen has a safety car gap to stop.
We do not gain position if we stay out, so stop this lap.
So that's it. So this is kind of going to neutralise. Everybody will come into the pits anyway and put the soft tyres on. That's where it's different if it's a virtual safety car or an actual safety car. In the end, if it's a real safety car, you can do whatever happens anyway. Hamilton hasn't stopped on that lap, so Hamilton stayed out, which is a interesting choice. The rest of the midfield also have mostly stayed out. Gasly, De Vries, Joe. Into the pits now comes Leclerc. New set of tyres. Out he goes. Well, used set of tyres, but newish set of softs.
If he could have held on until, obviously he didn't know there was going to be a safety car, but if he could have held on and not come in for those softs. Leclerc.
Who?
Leclerc.
Oh, not do a second pit stop. Oh, yeah.
He could have had a relatively cheap pit stop there. Relatively cheap
behind Verstappen anyway, by that point, wouldn't he? By this point of the Grand Prix, he would have been
a lot closer than 19 seconds is, I think, what Jenny's saying. Correct.
Correct. Well, Lap 49 and 53.
Well,
Verstappen is leading. Leclerc is second, Russell is third, Sainz is fourth, Hamilton is fifth, Perez is sixth, seventh is Norris, eighth is Gasly, ninth is Nick de Vries, 10th.
So you can go.
I can overtake the safety car.
Go by the safety car. There's a green light on top.
Are you sure? There's a yellow light on top. I can overtake the safety
Gear,
car.
I think. Mercedes are now getting ready for Hamilton, who comes through the final corner, and he's got a reasonable gap. Might lose out to Perez here, and he doesn't come in.
Doesn't fancy it. Just wants to stay out there potentially. And Perez did get the fastest lap, by the way, when he went out there. And now the race is under safety car. Let's see if it gets going again. But he could well keep that, snatch it away from Charles Leclerc. So Ferrari end up with almost.
Yeah, lap 49 and 53. Hamilton may be taking that sort of gamble that the safety car won't come in time before the end of the Grand Prix and just keep that track position. Third and fifth currently for the Mercedes team. Verstappen has even caught the back of the safety car yet. Where is he?
I need to know the tyre situation.
Safety car is on track at the
No, we
at the
haven't seen
moment.
one, have we? It's a bit strange.
Well, I think because it probably got deployed and then pitted, so there's going to be a load of back markers involved, I think.
I'm not sure whether we're going to get another lap of racing here. I hope we do. I really hope that we have a sprint finish between Verstappen and Leclerc. I'd be thrilled to see a one-lap sprint. I think it would be great fun. But I'm doubtful at the moment, Jack.
No, the cars are all so spread out around the circuit. Here's Verstappen's radio.
Leclerc pitted for a scrub soft. Russell has also pitted for a scrub soft. Sainz for a new soft.
Thank you, GP. That is all the information needed.
I have a feeling the safety car has picked up where Russell is, around, and they're all trailing around the pack. So even Russell leads the pack. So even if Ricardo's car out the way, then lap cars are going to have to get themselves out the way as well.
That's going to be all of.
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't going to play out in any way other than the safety car, surely.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sloppy safety car release by the looks of things. Everybody is still very spread out, and Ricardo's car is still there on the circuit. They can't move it, the marshals, so they're going to need a flatbed. But are they going to send the flatbed out while the cars haven't caught up to the back of the safety car? This is all a bit of a messy end to the Italian Grand Prix by the looks of things. From an exit point. The digger's coming out from an exit point. Okay, the digger's coming out now.
Can't they just red flag it? We have this in Abu Dhabi. Just red flag it. Get everybody in. Just red flag it. Get everybody in. Neutralise the car out the way. Clear the car out the way. A couple of laps as a sprint. Just at the end. I just don't see why they keep on going round. I just don't see why they keep on going round. I thought Abu Dhabi was kind of maybe that's too simplified. Maybe that's too simplified.
The safety car picked up the right car early in this position. Then we would have had in this position. Then we would have had maybe a two-lap sprint. It looks like if now, Jenny, we're going to have a one-lap sprint to the end. A one-lap sprint to the end. Who has impressed you the most? Who has impressed you? For me, it's my, my colleague and friend, my colleague. I think he's been superb. De Vries, I think he's been superb. Formula One debut, on his Formula One debut, to potentially have the opportunity to pick up a couple of points in his Formula One. I think he's picked up, yeah, not just 2 points. I think he's probably not just 2 points. I think he's probably picked up a 2-year contract.
It's the way he's driven as well. He was aggressive from the outset. He was aggressive from the outset. Yesterday, he was aggressive from the outset in qualifying. Going through the gravel, qualifying, going through the rears because he accidentally knocked the rears because he accidentally knocked because he wasn't really sure where all the buttons were. Didn't realise he put his brake balance a bit further back. Didn't realise he put his brake balance a bit further back. Are now unlapping themselves. So message on. So again, they've got to do a whole lap now because the safety car picked up the third placed car. And is everybody? Will that unlap everybody, or do they then have to do another?
Am I in the correct mode now?
Another lap for Bottas, Tsunoda, Latifi and Magnussen, who were already a lap down. No idea. But I think the other problem was it looked like it was going to be a short recovery. If they could have just rolled that Ricardo car back to in the same way that Vettel's was a really quick recovery. So Yeah, there's a few things here, but we're going to be starting lap 52 of 53, so that's almost impossible that this race will restart.
Do the lapped cars between Verstappen and Leclerc?
Everybody
in front of Verstappen has gone. In front of Verstappen has gone. But now the Alfa Romeo and the two leaders, where do they go? What's the regulation now? What's the regulation?
I can't see that we're going to get any racing here. I can't see that we're going to get any racing here. They haven't allowed the lapped cars to overtake. This was the thing in Abu Dhabi. This was the thing in Abu Dhabi. They don't have to let lapped cars overtake. Be sure that
didn't they change the rules again? Didn't they change the rules again after Abu Dhabi?
Well, maybe they do have to now. Maybe they do have to now. I lost track. We'll see what the race director says. But at the moment, the penultimate lap of the race, and I cannot imagine the lap of the race halfway around this lap. Halfway around this safety car and the lights go on the safety car and
good fun if they did. Unfortunately, good fun if they did. Unfortunately,
I love it if they did.
Why? Because then there's two cars between Leclerc and Verstappen. He's got no chance. Between Leclerc and Verstappen, he's got no chance. If they get them out of the way, fine. We're out of the way, fine. We're in wishful thinking territory, aren't we? There is wishful thinking territory, aren't we? There is nothing
final corner
that's going to happen.
A final corner victory for Ferrari.
Just 1971.
Just 1971.
Just to say on De Vries, he's in De Vries. 2 points. He's in 9 on his debut outing. Bearing in mind on his debut outing yesterday morning. He only got the call up yesterday morning. Take part in this Grand Prix. To actually take part in this Grand Prix. Fantastic. Get in, by the way, one in. Fantastic. Get in by 0.01 seconds.
So we're still waiting for the lap cars to get released.
Yeah. Well, there were 6 of them, weren't they? Across the line.
Looking like
6 of them. Was it 6 within?
So we're still waiting for the lap cars.
6 within half a second. What was it?
It would be the lap after. So not looking like this restart at the moment.
Leading the Grand Prix. Leclerc second. Russell third. Sainz fourth. Hamilton fifth. Perez, Norris, Gasly, De Vries and Zhou, the top 10. Lights are still on the safety car, and the lapped cars haven't been allowed through, so I think we're probably just about done here. Stay with us here on the BBC Sport website and thank you for Formula One app and company this afternoon.
We will have a Checker Flag podcast. We will have a Checker Flag pod today, so you can later on today subscribe and download that. Subscribe and download that. About Ferrari, I guess. Talk about Ferrari, I guess.
Now, the rest of the pack have nearly caught. Yeah, the rest of the pack have nearly caught.
It's too late for the lights to go out. It's too late for the lights to go out.
We will finish the race behind the safety car.
Come on, it's clear. Come on, it's clear. Come on.
Yeah, copy.
Bit of a mess from race control at the end of this. From race control at the end of this various Grand Prix, circumstances have befallen. It just hasn't quite worked out. And it just hasn't quite worked out. We're now onto the final lap of the Grand Prix. Onto the final lap of the Grand Prix. He's going to win it. Nick De Vries is going to score points. Nick De Vries is going to score points. The best finish that Williams has had. The best finish that Williams has had this season with a 9th place finish. With a 9th place finish as the safety car comes down into the Rettifilio, and the checker flag is going to be waved at the end of this lap. At the end of this car ending, it says, but I guess it'll come in at the end of this lap. But I guess it'll come in at the end of this lap and pull out across the line and pull out across the line and take the victory. Did you win in Saudi Arabia under a safety car? Saudi Arabia under a safety flag. Or a red flag? Is it a red flag? Is it less satisfying? Is it less satisfying?
Puts a bit of a dampener on it. Puts a bit of a dampener on it. When you're a driver, at the end of the day, when you're a driver and you don't really mind, you don't know that you've still won the race. You know that you've still won the race. There's no better feeling than the full race distance under green.
So Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, the top 5, Perez, Hamilton, Norris, Gasly, Perez, Norris, Zhou, the top 10, De Vries and Zhou, the top 10, Schumacher, Bottas, Latifi and Magnussen, the 16 runners. The 16 runners. It is frustrating for Leclerc, no doubt about that. For Leclerc, no doubt about that. He fancied his chances, or at least he fancied having a go. Or at least he fancied having a go. If this race pack has caught up now, this race we'd be in for a one-lap sprint. We'd be in for a one-lap sprint, but safety car, it took an awful long time. It took an awful long time. They didn't pick up the leader, basically. Picked up the long and short of it, basically. The safety car. But the difficult thing is they're not to know when they release the safety car Verstappen's going to pit or not Verstappen's going to pit. They probably need to be honestly proactive in waving Russell. Because normally the safety car will sort of wait. The safety car will sort of wait until the leader comes around. Didn't do it this time around. Max Verstappen. It's going to be yet another win. It's going to be yet another win for Max Verstappen as he wins on Ferrari's home turf. Verstappen wins. He is within touching distance now. He is within touching distance now of his Championship title. World Championship finishes in second. Leclerc finishes in second after Ferrari turning another pole position. Turning another pole position. Not another victory. Yet not another victory on the podium for Mercedes. Third on the podium for Mercedes. Carlos Sainz in fourth. Carlos Sainz in fourth for Lewis Hamilton. Fifth so staying Hamilton. So staying out. Pitting helped Hamilton in the end. Not pitting helped Hamilton in the end. Norris, Perez, Pierre Gasly, Norris, De Vries in the Williams. Ninth, Nick De Vries in the Williams. For Joe. 10th for Joe. He picks up his third points finish of the season. His third points finish of the season. And then it is Ocon, Schumacher, Bottas, Tsunoda, Latifi and Magnussen. Tsunoda, Latifi and Magnussen finish. The 16 drivers to finish. Stroll, Alonso and Vettel. Stroll, Alonso and Vettel. All retiring with reliability problems. All retiring with reliability problems.
You deserve the win today, well done. You deserve the win today, well done.
Very long.
Great race that again. And
great race that again.
You won your home Grand Prix. You won your home Grand Prix.
That's well done, Max. That's a shame it didn't get going at the end there. It's a shame it didn't get going at the end there. You were the fastest car all weekend. You were the fastest car all weekend.
Yeah, we nailed that. Yeah, we nailed that. We had a great race car. We had a great race car.
A really great race car. A really great race car. And for Max Verstappen, again, the inquest will begin at Ferrari. The inquest will begin at Ferrari differently. Could they have done anything differently? Verstappen certainly looked quick in the early stages. In the early stages, really, I think that's going to be the question. And we've had it so many times this season. And we've had it so many times. Did you question Ferrari's strategy here, or their or this there, or whatever? Could they have won today? What could they? Are we giving? We're giving.
Yeah, we nailed that. Great job, guys. Your home Grand Prix. We had a great
deserve the win today, well done.
Ferrari, Charles Leclerc radio.
And P2, you've done a good job. It's managed really well.
Yeah, we nailed that.
No reply. I think that Max had this race in his pocket. I think the Max gap had this race made it look worse than it was in his pocket. You know, but it's the gap that made it look worse than it was. Charles Leclerc is leading, and then 15 laps into the race, Charles Leclerc is leading, and then they do a 2-stop instead of a 1-stop, and he's 20 seconds behind, and the soft tyre wasn't working for him. It was, again, it wasn't a faultless second place from Ferrari. There still seemed to be some small errors of judgment.
Points on Dave.